This video explores how to include parenthetical citations in your literary analysis. But first, picture this. It's January, you're in the school's dining hall, you run into Mr. Franz by the hot chocolate machine, and you mention, "So, I hear we're going to have a snow day on Friday." He probably looks at you skeptically and wonders, "Why is that? You got a pre-calc test?" And you say, "Well, actually, AccuWeather just posted a winter weather advisory. There's an 80% chance of accumulation in Morristown." "Huh," he says, "I'll have to check it out." When we include sources and say and explain the validity of them, our audience is much more likely to be persuaded. So here's your guide to how to cite according to the rules of the MLA, or Modern Language Association. Here are 5 different examples of parenthetical citations that you may come across in your writing. The first example is pretty basic. We have our quote, or idea, "Hemingway's writing declined in his later career." It's coming from an author named Sheehan, and it's on page 789. So both of those details go within our parentheses, and then our period, punctuation mark, goes on the outside. In our second example, we actually include the author's name within our sentence, and so only the page number goes in the parentheses. In our third example, imagine you're doing a compare and contrast essay, and you're looking at several different texts by Charles Dickens. Because this particular idea comes from A Tale of Two Cities, we go ahead and put a shortened version of that title within our parentheses, along with the writer's name and page number. Next, we have a method of citing where we're just trying to pepper in different pieces of a quote or phrases rather than an entire line. However, these observations about Atticus come from different pages of To Kill a Mockingbird. So, within our parentheses, we have the writer's name, Harper Lee, we have the 2 different pages from which these quotes come, and then we have a comma separating. Finally, let's go back to that idea of a compare and contrast essay. Let's say within a line we're peppering in quotes from 2 different writers, 2 different texts. Here we include the writer's name, page number for each, and then we separate those 2 by a semicolon. Okay, so let's look at our parenthetical citations in context. This time we're looking at an analytical paragraph about To Kill a Mockingbird. You can see after our first quote, we have the writer's name and the page number. That's because this is the first time within this paragraph that we have a quote, and so we include the author's last name. Again, notice that the period goes outside of the parentheses. Later on, as we have our second quote, we've already mentioned Harper Lee. This time we can just include the page number. Although typically we only quote a phrase or perhaps a line, it's occasionally necessary to have a longer quote. If your quote is longer than 4 lines, as we see in this example, we need to make it into a block. In that case, it gets indented 10 spaces and appears separate from the text. After you have your introduction, you include a colon, then the quote, and again, the writer's name and page number in parentheses at the very end. Similarly, you'll have to use a block quotation if you're using quotes from more than one character within your story. Here, again, we've separated a colon, we've indented the text, and we have the quotes on 2 different lines, followed by the writer's name and page number. Of course, if you've already included several quotes from this one text, you can forget about the writer's name and just include the page number in parentheses. According to MLA style, there are also rules for quoting Shakespeare. Just like in our other examples, we have the quote, and then we have our parentheses, the writer's name, Shakespeare, and then we cite by act, scene, lines, close parentheses, and our period. Now that we've discussed different types of citations, it's time for some parenthetical practice. Here, we have the name of the author, text, quote, and page. Let's imagine you're reading Catcher in the Rye, And you're arguing that despite the way Holden Caulfield disdains any kind of phoniness, we occasionally see glimpses of his positivity and authenticity. Go ahead and take this information and format it according to MLA style. Pause the video as you do so. Here's our citation. We have the quote within quotation marks. We've moved our punctuation after the word nice to outside of the parentheses. We have our writer's name and the page number within the parentheses. If you have additional questions about citations, please visit with your teacher or see the Center for Academic Writing.